Good morning, everyone. Don Cramer with the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend, the last full weekend of August. We are on episode 88, the Monday edition of Coffee with Cramer and Colleen, the show dedicated to real estate, community, and lifestyle here in fabulous Las Vegas. My partner, Colleen Schaefer, sends her best today. She's out with a couple clients on real estate. Actually, I'm going to be catching up with a couple as well a little later today. As you know, our real estate market has been as on fire pretty much just like our weather here. The good news is we got a little respite here weather-wise, a little cooling off period last week of August as we wrap up the month, move into September. But nonetheless, we do have some new real estate and lifestyle community news we want to catch up on. Excuse me, there you go. Take a cup of coffee here. If you're joining us for the first time or have got a morning beverage, definitely do us a big favor. Give us a shout out or hit the like button and let us know what you're having to drink to get you through fabulous Monday. Now, we've got a few little pieces of news today. One, which is a biggie because this starts tomorrow and has to do with the eviction moratorium. And we've got a little bit of news that you can maybe use here on that for those, especially renters and even for landlords as well. Also, too, there's a piece of commercial property downtown in the what is called the historic railroad area of town, which is also near the Arts District or incorporates it. That area is under redevelopment and is going to be a new retail and dining destination. Excuse me. Also, too, the PGA Tour is announcing another golf event here to Las Vegas for the fall of 2020. So that's exciting. And then just a quick update on mortgage rates. So let's start off with the Nevada eviction moratorium. And again, we're going to put these links in the comments and question section below. So that way you have links to those. This is in the RJ. So as we start the month of September out, one thing that is going to lapse unless the governor intervenes here in the remaining hours is the moratorium on evictions here in Nevada. So the eviction moratorium went into effect several months ago, back in March, as pretty much in response to COVID-19. One, to keep people in home so they could minimize spread of the COVID-19 virus, as well as because of the economic impacts, people could still have a roof over their heads during this period. Now, the eviction moratorium is scheduled to be lapsed. There's quite a bit of information out there, especially if you go on the Nevada Health Response to his website, which is nvhealthresponse.nv.gov. That's got some of the steps and some of the implications on evictions. But there's this article here I think is important, and like I said, we're going to link to it. Now, one other piece of note, because there is a lot of confusion, so outside of the eviction moratorium being lifted starting tomorrow, state lawmakers did pass a bill this month giving renters additional time to explore alternative solutions with their landlords, such as third-party mediation. However, that bill is yet to be signed into law. So while it was passed, special session, it's not a law yet. So not a lot we can do there. But this article, which is good, it includes a little Q&A, a little interview with Terry Moore. And Terry's an attorney with Marquis, Auerbach, and Coffing here in Las Vegas. And he, through this Q&A, just sort of like cleared up a few things here that I think are going to be important. Now, just because the evictions are going to kick in, one of the big things is this going to be how big a wave is this? Well, he sort of characterizes it, says, okay, there'll be a wave or maybe a couple of waves. However, he doesn't see it being a tsunami, quote unquote. Because as he's quoted as saying, landlords aren't in the business of evicting people. They're in the business of renting homes and collecting rent. So it's everyone tenant's advantage if that can be maintained. So in this article, there was, like I said, this Q&A, and said, let's talk about sort of, first question was, when would someone receive an eviction notice? A lot of it depends on the lease. Some say rent is due at the first of the month, but it's not considered late until the 5th. So, definitely pay attention to what your lease says. And that's one of the most important things. So if the rent's due on the 1st of September, for example, and it's considered late, they could get served on the September 2nd. So if going back to the original rule, if the lease said it was on the 1st of the month's rent's due and the 5th is considered late, well, then the landlord can serve you on the 5th. So again, check that lease. They'll receive, the tenant will receive a 7-day notice to quit or pay rent, and that's 7 judicial days in Las Vegas. The jurisdiction of unincorporated Clark County in North Las Vegas and Henderson's does not include Fridays. So again, depending on where you're located, that's important to go. So if it's 7-day notice, that includes 7 judicial days. Las Vegas, the jurisdiction of unincorporated Clark County, North Vegas, and Henderson don't count Fridays. So they won't likely, if we're using the September 1st rule, have until September 15th to file an answer to eviction. So what the lease says and where you're located, 2 big key factors. And then there's a tenant answer form at the Civil Law Self-Help Center, which is a great resource for tenants. And you can find that information online at civillawselfhelpcenter.org. So again, for tenants looking to respond to that, you can do that. So then the eviction process itself. So how does that work? So Terry answers that with going, tenant would have to file his or her answer. The landlord has the next move of filing the landlord's complaint of summary eviction, and that is filing the complaint for eviction to process that through the court to get a decision to evict the tenant. So then the court will set a hearing. In normal world, the hearing would be the following week. Again, normal world, we're in COVID-19 world now, for better or worse. So that filing can take longer because of, one, the number of evictions we may be seeing filed and when they will be at the point of being processed. It's just the court will not have enough courtrooms, judges, and time in the day to address these quickly. It's going to be how they come in and how many come in. So again, that's like I said, normally a week, but it may most likely will take longer, depending on the number of filings that will be coming up. So what happens? There will be a hearing. So the landlord is going to present their case in the hearing, and they will go on, what the lease says, days, what process they went in. And then the tenant has an opportunity, if they so do choose, mount a legal defense on there as well, as to, and see if that would make for sufficient grounds for the judge to either grant the eviction or deny the eviction. And if the eviction gets granted, then the instructions go to the constable's office, and a day or two the constable has to go out and post 24-hour notice of lockout. So if a tenant is filed with an eviction and served complaint and is to be in court for a hearing, what happens if the tenant ignores an eviction notice? Well, that just, for better or worse, speeds things up. So if a tenant has until September 15th to answer, they don't answer, and the landlord files a complaint and it's granted by the court, they would get granted, and then basically the complaint was granted because it was run unopposed. Then that gets sent to the constable's office, and then 24-hour notice comes back and does the lockout. So there's just essentially a default there. And last couple of questions, what should tenants keep in mind? Now, the landlord is not supposed to file their complaint for eviction if the tenant has already vacated the unit. Because if you've left the unit, okay, you vacated it before filing the complaint, you've moved out. Okay, well that won't need to take place. So if the tenant moves out before the hearing is held or on or before the eviction is granted, there's no eviction because they've left, because the tenant's left. This would help avoid, and this is key because this would help a renter avoid having the eviction on record. Now, again, too, there's a new county ordinance that makes it illegal for landlords to discriminate against a tenant having an eviction related to COVID-19. But if you leave prior to the complaint being filed, or moved out before the hearing's held, well then that should not also go on your record as well. So other things to be aware of for a tenant is tenant can file a motion for a stay. They can ask for additional time. This is per Terry's notes here. And he says, I believe the courts are going to be, there's a feeling he feels that the courts are going to be a little more liberal in granting those. Tenants can only ask for a stay up to 10 days, even at the hearing. Now, if you're a tenant and you're looking at getting an eviction filed and be going through this process, one thing to be considering is looking at those options. So, definitely this article is a good resource for it. But if you have a question, contact an attorney to make sure you understand what your rights are or what positions you have during this period are important. Also, too, real estate agent as well. Well, we are not in a position to give legal advice, and in this case, we are just relaying the news of this interview. We can then also talk about what those options are that you have, or help you find a place before an eviction gets processed so you don't have that on record. It is a very busy renters market, interestingly enough, so definitely encourage people to start taking a look, and getting an option to, if they can afford it, to get into a place rather than going through an eviction process, because you definitely don't want that on your record, even if it's COVID-19 related, if you can avoid it, for sure. So this is a good little Q&A, good little resource here, I think, for those. And I'd also encourage those homeowners or those people that have investment properties, take a look at this, just so everyone's heads up as to what they need to be aware of. Okay, moving on. So new property development downtown. And Chris Clifford with Colliers International and his team announced the renovation of 4 buildings in the historic downtown area. This little area is going to be known as the Intersection. And that is at the corner near Main Street and Commerce downtown, just south of Bonneville. And that this is going to be redeveloping. There was a store there that had once been there for a long time, store anchor, the General Gambler store. I remember driving down there when I had an office prior to down there on Main at a great co-working space. And now that building, the General Gambler store, and a couple other buildings are being revitalized. The buildings are ranging from 6,200 to over 14,000 square feet. And it's in a great little location. You're not too far from the Clark County Government Center, City Hall, Medical District, Arts District, new walking areas, things of that nature, World Market Center and such. So it's good. There's some new walkable street areas there, and there will be spaces there that will be ready for retail use, as well as food and beverage dining options. So look forward for more news on that, and those renovations are going underway. If you'd like some more information on that, we can definitely reach out and gather some more information from Chris Clifford with Colliers International. We do have just so you know, and we get some questions now and again, do we do commercial? Well, Colleen and I have a lot of clients that do have a commercial need. So we have an agent partner at Urban Nest Realty, a couple of them we work with on those types of matters. So we can keep them in-house and also keep in the conversation while we have the expertise of those who do commercial transactions, whether they're leases, purchases, or sales. So that way we can provide a full spectrum of services for our client base. So if you are looking for downtown, looking for commercial, don't hesitate to reach out to us, because we do, like I said, we do have clients that are always looking at commercials. So we have to have some resources available for which we do. Now, also exciting is PGA Tour. So if you missed this weekend, there was a great finish to the BMW Championship. The Tour Championship gets underway this next week, and also upcoming will be the delayed U.S. Open, and even, I believe, in November, the Masters. However, in October, it's usually when we have the Shriners PGA Tour event, and it looks like we're going to be on track for that. However, the following week, an event that's typically kicks off the Asian swing, Japan, China, and Korea, not in quite in that order, one of those events is coming to the United States. In fact, it's coming to Las Vegas. So the PGA Tour was exciting to announce the CJ Cup, which is normally held at the Nine Bridges Golf Club on Jeju Island in South Korea, is moving to Shadow Creek Golf Club here in fabulous Las Vegas. And as many people know, Shadow Creek, built back in the early 1990s, was developed by Steve Wynn when they were building the Mirage, and after they built the Mirage and such, and built and regarded as one of the finest golf courses, especially public golf courses, in the United States, let alone even the world. Well, that is a very exclusive property, and because they've held a couple of events such as the Phil Mickelson Tiger Woods event, they've been the host of Tiger Jam and others, they are going to be hosting the CJ Cup this year. So that is really exciting. And the CJ Cup last year was won by PGA Tour player Justin Thomas. So hopefully Justin will be back to defend. And I think because of that swing, that's a very popular swing of events over there in Asia, and there's a chance there may be another one moving over, but it hasn't been officially announced yet. So coming a week after the Shriners may also impact the participation for the Shriners event. So it's so you know that the event is a limited field event at the CJ Cup. So that is 78 players, and it's scheduled for the 15th through 18th. So again, it's the week after the Shriners Tour stop. So we could see a lot of great players that normally go overseas to play the CJ Cup coming to Vegas, and now playing 2 weeks in a row, both for the Shriners and the CJ Cup. So that's exciting. And like I said, Justin Thomas is defending champion, with Brooks Koepka being the 2018 winner as well. So exciting to see now 2 weeks in a row. Las Vegas will be featured on the PGA Tour, and that will be exciting. And like I said, there may be the potential for one other event on the Asian swing being relocated to the States. However, it has yet to be fully announced. So, and why that's happening? Well, travel to South Korea, we understand currently, especially coming from the United States, has a quarantine period. It looks to be, if I understand correctly, that the quarantine period is 14 days for anyone traveling into South Korea from the United States. So it's just too big a hurdle to be able to schedule and coordinate that for a 1 week tour event. So exciting to have the CJ Cup following the Shriners event here in Las Vegas this fall. Now, lastly, we've got our mortgage rates update for the week of 8/31, the final day of August. Now, mortgage rates actually ticked a little upward here from last week's drop. So the 30-year fixed rate ticked up 11 basis points from an average of 3.02 last week to an average of 3.13. Actually, a slight dip in the 15-year fixed from 2.62 down 3 basis points to 2.59. The 30-year jumbo fixed rate also ticked up as well, 16 basis points. So it went from 3.04 average to 3.20. And the 30-year fixed refi rate ticked down just a smidge by 3 basis points from 3.22 to 3.19. So a little jump in the rates over the last week. However, as you know, rates are an ever-changing situation, but they're still historically low. We've noticed demand continuing through this last week, so we'll probably, we'll see how these rates continue to work as we now wrap up August and move into September. From what we're seeing right now, it looks like September is maybe a little bit more like an August trend, where normally people are going, getting into their homes in place right now because of back to school. Well, that may not be quite as an effect here in Las Vegas, because pretty much just about all the children are homeschooling currently right now, or some mixture, especially if there may be a private charter situation going on. But certainly for CCSD, Clark County School District, it's at home learning. And I saw some pictures. Just a shout out to everyone. I raise a toast to you out there for the families that have a couple kids, work from home going on, utilizing the breakfast bar, the dining room table, and such, trying to make the best out of it. It's probably why we're seeing a lot of demand for people making changes to the houses, especially with the mortgage rate so low. So if it's first week of that and you're looking and saying, okay, it's time for more space, well, give us a shout out. We'd love to chat with you and see what kind of options you have and what we could get you into. That's a little roomier for places to have for study, places for work, and places just to relax at home. Well, that's this Monday's Coffee with Cramer and Colleen. We appreciate you tuning in. This week, we're going to be a little limited. This week, normally I'm out of town at a great real estate conference. However, it's going to be virtual, but they're pretty much all-day affairs. This is an event where there's going to be 12,000 real estate agents tuning in from all over North America and abroad, in interacting and learning from the top real estate agents in the country. And one of the things I'm very humbled to announce, I'll be on a panel this Wednesday speaking to agents about how they can grow their businesses, especially through situations or events or programs like what we do here with Coffee and Cramer and Colleen. So I'm very humbled to be speaking to this large gathering of some of the top producing agents, both in the country and abroad, and also to learning from the best. So we're going to be a little limited on Coffee with Cramer and Colleen. We'll probably have some new news and new notes to catch up on, which we'll put together towards the end of this week. But if you have any questions, or you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in Las Vegas real estate, do us a big favor, reach out to us. We'd love to be able to answer those questions for you, so that way you have the information you need to make the right decision and meet your real estate goals. So again, on behalf of Colleen and myself, I'm Don Cramer. We form the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty. We're more now than ever. Your real estate experience matters, so give us a call if we can help. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye.